Think about what happens if you leave a bicycle out in the rain. Within a few weeks, the chain starts to stick. If you leave it for a full year, the metal is often covered in a thick layer of orange rust. Water and oxygen break down iron. It is a basic law of nature. Now, look at the Marali iron pillar in Delhi. This 6-ton column has stood outside, completely exposed to the elements, for 1,600 years. Yet it has remained unaltered by time or the natural environment. The people who forged this pillar were not using magic. They were part of a highly advanced ancient society known as the Gupta Empire. We are going to travel back to the 4th and 5th centuries CE. We want to see how a society organizes itself to pull off miracles of science, master ancient metallurgy, and produce timeless art. When an artifact defies the natural process of decay for over a millennium, it serves as physical proof of a civilization entering its golden age. To understand this empire, we have a guide. A Chinese traveler named VII visited India. His journals let us see the capital as it existed 1,500 years ago. In the city centers, VII found streets lined with stone houses and markets supplied with foreign goods. He described wealthy merchants who used their profits to establish houses for charity, where the sick and the poor could receive free medicine and food. While historians focus on the prosperity of these city centers, the people living in the empire experience different realities based on their social status. On the outskirts of these wealthy districts lived the Chandalas, a group of people considered outcasts by the rest of society. The empire followed a strict social hierarchy. The Chandalas were physically excluded from the city centers and lived under harsh conditions, separated from the wealth and security of the ruling classes. A golden age is a complex picture. It is a period where soaring intellectual and economic growth for some existed alongside deep social inequality for others. Back in the heart of the empire, this era was defined by spiritual growth. Hindu kings funded massive temples dedicated to Vishnu, while Buddhist monasteries like Nalanda became prominent international centers for higher learning and study. This era's devotion produced a new level of artistic precision. Sculptors mastered the human form, carving stone into serene figures that demonstrated deep anatomical understanding. This environment of quiet study also produced groundbreaking science. A scholar named Aryabhata used the empire's resources to look beyond the earth and toward the stars. Aryabhata proposed a leap in thinking that was centuries ahead of his time. He argued that the earth is a sphere and that it rotates on its own axis, which is what actually creates the cycle of day and night. He also helped formalize the mathematical concept of zero and the place value system. This simple placeholder allowed merchants to keep perfectly clear ledgers and architects to perform complex calculations. It provided the mathematical bedrock for every massive construction and scientific advancement that followed. We can leave the observatories now and move to the Ajanta caves. Here, we see the empire's achievements in a more intimate, emotional form. Hidden inside these rock-cut caves are intricate wall paintings. These artists use sophisticated pigments to capture human expression, showing a mastery of color that has survived for over 1,000 years. While painters worked in the caves, poets like Kalidasa worked in the royal courts. His Sanskrit plays and poems are considered the peak of ancient literature for their elegant language and emotional depth. A society that invests so heavily in theater, poetry, and cave painting is a society that has finally moved beyond the daily struggle for survival and is actively pursuing profound beauty. Let's step back and ask the analytical question. Why did this explosion of art, science, and math happen in this specific place and time? These gold coins provide physical evidence of how the empire functioned. Through military strength and alliances, the Gupta kings established a unified government and currency. This stability let them control major trade routes, bringing a massive influx of wealth. This flowchart tracks the logic. Trade wealth funded a powerful military. That military secured the borders, which led to a long era of peace. When a society has both money and peace, people finally have the free time required to study the stars, write masterpieces of literature, and invent rust-proof iron.
A golden age is the direct result of a stable government and a thriving economy, creating a safe space for human genius to flourish. Take a moment to look at the modern objects sitting on your own desk today. The math you use to solve problems, the way you understand the rotation of the Earth, and even the decimal system you use to count money, all trace back to the thinkers of the Gupta era. The Gupta Golden Age survives as a foundational layer of human knowledge, still actively pulsing through the way we measure and understand our world today.